I once missed my mother's birthday dinner. Not because of traffic. Not because I was sick. Not because I forgot. But because I was in my room. Curtains drawn, fingers trembling. Caught in a cycle I didn't know how to escape. I had just done it. For the fourth time that day. And when I looked in the mirror afterward, shirt wrinkled, lips dry, eyes glassy, I saw a stranger staring back. That was the night I realized I am not in control anymore. And that's why I'm here now. Not because I'm proud of what I'm about to share, but because silence nearly destroyed me. And I believe someone out there needs to hear this. Because maybe you're silently battling too. By the time I was 21, I could speak at women's conferences. I had memorized Bible verses about purity. I wore long skirts. I had a reputation for praying through the night. But every time I stood on a stage, I felt like a fraud. Because 2 nights before one of those events, I had locked myself in my hostel bathroom with my earphones on, choking back moans and tears, doing it again, then reading Psalm 51 immediately after. It became a ritual. Scene. Guilt. Tears. Prayer. Repeat. It was like spiritual whiplash. 1 minute I was leading a worship session. The next, I was curled up in a corner, asking God why He hadn't delivered me. The real question I was too scared to ask was this: why do I keep going back to the very thing that makes me hate myself? I dated someone briefly. His name was Deo. He was a leader in the campus fellowship. Kind, gentle, patient. I thought maybe love could save me. I told myself, if I can just get married quickly, the urges will go away. But they didn't. In fact, they got worse. Because with Deo, I was constantly performing, trying to look holy, trying to be perfect, trying not to show how broken I actually was. We never had sex. He never even pressured me. But I still felt impure. I still felt like I was hiding a demon under my choir robe. Eventually, I broke up with him. And when he asked why, I lied. I told him I wasn't ready, that I needed to focus on God. The truth? I was terrified that if he ever found out what I did in private, he would look at me like I was filth. Then came the darkest season. It was NYSC year. I was posted to a remote village. No stable internet. No friends nearby. Lots of silence. Too much silence. And silence, I've learned, can be dangerous when you're addicted to something that thrives in secrecy. I'd download offline videos. Old images. I relapsed harder than ever before. There were days I didn't bathe, didn't eat, just lay in bed, numb, shameful, and tired. The climax came one day when I tried to lead devotion at a local youth gathering. As I opened my mouth to pray, I burst into tears, right there in front of everyone. I told them it was the Spirit. But really, it was grief. Grief for the girl I used to be. Grief for the joy I'd lost. Grief for the part of me that felt too far gone to ever return. When I returned home after NYSC, I was a shell. To pray, I burst into tears, right there in front of everyone. I told them it was the Spirit. But really, it was grief. Grief for the girl I used to be. Grief for the joy I'd lost. Grief for the part of me that felt too far gone to ever return. When I returned home after NYSC, I was a shell. No pasión. No confidence. No desire to even fake it anymore. My mom noticed. You don't sing around the house like before, she said. I just smiled. But I was dying inside. I stopped praying. Stopped reading the Bible. I figured God was tired of me anyway. And maybe, just maybe, if I didn't pray, I wouldn't feel the guilt anymore. But silence doesn't heal sin. It buries it deeper, until it becomes rot. One night, I sat on my bed and whispered the most honest prayer I had ever said. God, I don't even know how to stop wanting this. But I'm tired. So tired. Please do something. Or let me die. That night something happened. Not a thunderclap. Not an angelic visitation. Not a miracle. Just a text. From a friend I hadn't spoken to in months. Hey Ada. You've been on my heart. I don't know what you're battling. But I want you to know, you're not alone. If you ever want to talk, I'm here and no judgment. And I broke. Like a dam that had been waiting to collapse. I called her the next day, and for the first time in my life, I said the words out loud. I'm addicted to masturbation. And she said, so am I. That moment changed everything. Her name was Damilola. She was the friend who sent that text, the one who shattered my silence, and the first person to look me in the eye, without flinching, and say, you're not wicked, Ada. You're wounded. Those words did something deep in me, because for years, I thought I was evil, that I was possessed, that something was wrong with me that couldn't be fixed. But for the first time, someone said it wasn't about being evil, it was about being hurt. Damilola invited me to a private support group. All women, all struggling with the same thing I was, some worse, some better, but all tired of hiding. The first day I joined the Zoom call, my hands were shaking. I stared at the screen. 6 faces. Black women. Beautiful. Smart. Calm. And then it was my turn to speak. Hi. I'm Ada. I've been struggling with masturbation for 11 years. I've tried fasting. I've tried deliverance. I've even tried shaming myself into stopping. But nothing has worked. And I think I'm tired of pretending. And one of the ladies smiled and said, welcome. You're safe here. I broke down crying. That day, I cried harder than I had in years. But they didn't rush me. They didn't silence me. They just waited and stayed. That group became my anchor. We didn't just talk about the addiction. We talked about triggers, wounds, self-image, rejection, loneliness, body shame, abuse. And that's when I realized something massive. Masturbation wasn't the root. It was the symptom. I started therapy. My therapist, Teresa, was a warm, soft-spoken woman in her 40s. She never looked shocked, never made me feel judged. And during our 3rd session, she asked me something that broke me open. When was the first time you felt alone? Not the first time I masturbated, but the first time I felt alone. And I remembered. I was 9 years old, sitting outside my parents' room, listening to them fight again. And in that moment, I had felt small, powerless, forgotten. That was the day I discovered how to self-soothe, not through touch at first, but by escaping into imagination. That escape became a coping mechanism. Eventually, the imagination turned sexual, and the habit formed, not because I was dirty, but because I was desperate. From there, I started journaling everything, the patterns, the moods that triggered it, the guilt cycles, the nights I felt the loneliest. And you know what I found? I wasn't addicted to pleasure. I was addicted to relief. I also began replacing rituals. Instead of reaching for my phone at night, I reached for my journal. Instead of isolating after failure, I texted my accountability partner. Instead of calling myself names after a relapse, I whispered, we're still healing, and I still love you. 1 month passed, then 3, then 6. Not always perfect, but deeply, honestly healing. One night, in a group session, I shared something I hadn't told anyone. I used to believe that I had ruined myself, that I was broken beyond repair. But now, I'm learning that restoration doesn't mean going back to who I was. It means becoming someone stronger than I ever imagined. And the women clapped. Some cried, because they saw it too. Healing didn't come like thunder. It came like rain. Slow, steady, soaking every dry part of my soul. The day I realized I'd gone a full month without relapsing, I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the ceiling. I didn't shout. I didn't dance. I just wept softly, because for the first time in over a decade, I felt clean. Not because I hadn't touched myself, but because I didn't feel the need to. That realization changed everything, because it meant that healing was not about fighting temptation all day long. It was about filling the emptiness that used to make temptation feel like the only comfort I had. I started working again. Small freelance projects. I went for walks in the morning, started singing again in the bathroom, and one day, I saw my reflection in the mirror and whispered, you're becoming her. The woman you used to dream about. Not perfect, not wholly in a performance way, but free. Free to breathe, free to feel, free to stop hiding. I began helping other women too. First privately, then through voice notes, then through small, anonymous Zoom circles. I didn't wear titles. I didn't pretend to have all the answers. I just said, I know what it feels like to hate yourself every night, and still fall into the same habit anyway. I know what it's like to pray until your throat hurts, and still feel like God doesn't hear you. I know how exhausting it is to carry a secret like that. And one by one, they began to open up too. A girl named Melissa messaged me. I thought I was the only Christian girl who struggled with this. I've never even kissed a man, but I've done things alone that I'm too ashamed to say. Another woman, Jessica, wrote, I'm a mother of 2. I've been married for 6 years, and I'm addicted. I've never told anyone, not even my husband. Their voices broke my heart, not because they were addicted, but because they had been silent for so long. One day, I stood in front of my mirror again. Only this time, I held my phone out, opened Instagram, and recorded a video. My name is Ada. I used to be addicted to masturbation. I was ashamed for years. I hid it under religion. I punished myself. But I've found healing. And I want you to know, you're not alone. There is help. There is hope. And you are not dirty. You are not beyond repair. That video changed everything. I didn't expect it to, but within 3 days, over 800 women messaged me. Some crying, some confessing, some thanking me. One woman simply wrote, I watched your video. Then I put down the razor blade. I sat in silence reading that message, because I knew that pain. I had walked that darkness, but now I was walking toward the light. I'm not saying I've arrived. There are still moments I feel weak, days my body remembers old cravings. But now I know what to do. I know how to sit with my feelings, how to pray with honesty, not performance, how to reach out before the spiral begins. And most importantly, I've learned how to love myself on the days I feel unlovable, because that's where true freedom lives. Not in never falling, but in learning how to rise again, with kindness. If I could sit across from the girl I used to be, the 13-year-old hiding under the covers, ashamed of what her body felt, terrified that God already hated her, I wouldn't yell at her. I wouldn't throw Bible verses at her. I wouldn't even tell her to stop. I would hold her hand, wipe her tears, and whisper, you're not disgusting. You're human, and you are still loved. Because that's what I needed back then. Not fear, not threats of hell, just love, and someone to tell me I wasn't alone. You see, the scariest part of addiction isn't the act. It's the silence. The heavy, choking silence. The voice that says, if anyone knew what you did, they would never speak to you again. That silence almost buried me. But today, I'm using my voice to break it. Because if even one girl hears this and says, me too, then this confession was worth it. I've learned that addiction isn't about weakness. It's about unhealed wounds. It's about misplaced comfort. It's about trying to fill a hole no one sees. But healing comes when we stop hiding that hole, when we ask for help, when we admit the truth, when we let someone in. To the girl watching this video in secret, with guilt burning in her throat, I see you. You don't have to punish yourself anymore. You don't have to carry it alone. Healing is possible. You are not too far gone. To the woman who thinks no one would understand, I do. And many others do too. There is a community waiting to hold you. You are not crazy. You are not evil. You are not dirty. You are wounded. And wounds can heal. And to the men watching too, yes, this struggle doesn't have a gender. Your masculinity doesn't make your shame any less real. You deserve freedom just as much. Speak up. Find help. Don't die in silence. I don't know what the future holds, but I know who holds me now. Not shame, not guilt, not performance, but grace. Grace that says, I know where you've been, and I still want you. If you've heard nothing else I've said, please hear this. You are still worthy of love, even on your worst day. Let that sink in. Thank you for listening to my story. If it helped you, please don't keep it to yourself. Someone else is hiding in the dark, waiting for the light you now carry. This is Adder, and I am healing. one honest day at a time.